who knows? Maybe therapy dogs are built for it or something.
Oh yeah, they could take it. Yeah.
Take the rock and roll, but Trey, do you need me to hit record on mine, or are you already going?
We're an all-around camera. Y'all could just take it from here.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. All right. Well, we're here, Jacksonville, Florida. Des Rocs, all the way from New York. Thanks for joining us here at the 2024 Woofstock.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You know, I like to start most of my interviews with just the question of, have you been to Jacksonville? And if not, like, what is your first impression? You know, you've only been here a few hours now.
I've been to Jacksonville before.
Okay.
I was here right before COVID in 2020, but I was in some weird venue, like on the outskirts.
Okay.
So it was just like a field of sawgrass, and like that's pretty much it. I feel like that's a lot of Florida.
Yeah.
But it's cool to be like in the downtown area now, and like you can walk the park and like see all the stuff. So I'm very pleasantly surprised with Jacksonville. I'm very impressed. I like this place a lot. Yeah.
Love to hear it. And you said you made it over to the farmer's market this morning. What'd you grab from
I've been
there?
busy. I got groceries. I got milk. The tour bus is stocked with fresh produce, so I'm ready to rock.
Yeah. So this is stop one, right? So you're starting the tour today in Jacksonville. You know, what was your initial reaction when you saw that you're getting an offer for a dog-friendly music festival?
Our band, like, we're all obsessed with dogs. And like me personally, like dogs are very important to me. So it was a no-brainer. Yeah, we were very excited.
You know, that's going to make everyone in the team very, very excited. The reason I think we do this as a company to produce a festival is that we also love dogs. So it's a great combination of music, dogs, and good times. But do you have a dog?
Yeah, I do. I have a little Wheaton Terrier. And I'm also like volunteer with a lot of rescue organizations in New York City with dogs as well. So it's really cool to mix my two worlds for the first time ever. Yeah.
What's the dog's name?
Ellie.
Ellie. Where does Ellie go when you're on the road?
Ellie has a network of people where she very reluctantly will stay with when I'm away.
I'm sure she's sad you're on the road.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah.
Ever considered Ellie as a tour dog? On the bus with you?
Never. She's super high anxiety.
Oh, poor.
I think tour would like really mess up a dog because I don't think they understand the concept that the bus drives all night. So you just wake up in a new city every day, and then you open the door, and it's like a whole new state.
Yeah.
Or not just a new state, but like a new climate, a new geography. I think it like really messes with dogs.
True. All right. Well, you know, that's fair enough. If you were a dog, what dog would you be?
That's funny. Probably like a Belgian Malinois.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they're very tough to have. You have to be very experienced if you want a Belgian. But in the right hands, they're like the most badass dogs.
Right. They are some of the most disciplined dogs.
Yeah.
I know, like when we had our puppy going through training, our trainer had a Belgian Malinois. It would be like, okay, you know, go to place, and that thing would jump to the top of a cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
Just hang there. I'm like, these dogs are incredible.
Those dogs are meant to like jump out of parachutes. Like, you don't keep that dog in the house. Like, you take that dog and you go. You know what I mean? That's like I relate to that a lot. Yeah.
That's fair. So, I mean, you've got this tour coming up. This is the first stop. You know, how long are you on the road? You know, what are you looking forward to most, I guess, on this run?
We have about 3.5 weeks on this tour.
I love it.
So this is like a very different kind of tour for us because we've been touring a lot of this album. And then they kind of do these markets that a lot of bands don't ordinarily come to.
Sure.
So that's this tour.
Okay.
And those are always the best shows, you know, because they don't get a lot of bands coming through all the time.
Yeah.
People are very grateful that you're there. Like a lot of like the Little Rock, Arkansas of the world, you know what I mean?
That,
like,
yeah.
It's really cool to go to these very special places and have like very genuine shows where everyone's so present in the show. And it's not like New York or LA and people are just like there for 30 minutes and pop out and go do something else, you know what I mean? So those are really special ones for us.
And being a person in one of those markets, we appreciate that, and it does go a long way, I think, for the market as a whole. Is we appreciate the music, I think, just on that same level. So
yeah,
thank you. Is there a town on this one that you're like super stoked about that has maybe a restaurant or something that you like that you're like, man, I can't wait to get to Little Rock because of the Thai spot down the street from the venue?
Yeah, there's a coffee place in San Antonio called Merit Coffee that I like a lot.
Okay.
There's in a few cities in Texas, and I love that coffee.
Is there a specific coffee that you usually go for?
No, I just get like the bags of like what they brew in house. Okay. I just get a drip coffee. I'm easy. Yeah.
It stays on the bus with you for the rest of the
day. Yeah, it's great.
I love that. Well, Teague, do you have any questions? I'm throw it over here. I'm just hogging I'm hogging it all over here.
I did stalk to TikTok.
Oh, okay.
And I saw you're like a king at Mario Kart.
Oh, I'm really good at Mario Kart. Yeah.
I'm like your Sinister Six. You made that team.
Yeah. Ooh. It would honestly just be like my 5 buddies from middle school who I would play that game with every single day. Yeah, I'm not taking anyone famous, anyone. Just 5 homies from homeroom, because that would be the most fun to play Mario Kart with. You know what I mean? Like just people who like you could be a little kid around and not have to worry about this or that. Yeah, no artists, no famous people. Just giving my buddies from Long Island, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't play video.
No, I max out a Nintendo 64. It's the only thing I had in like 2nd grade, and I never graduated after that.
Still rocking one. Do you have one?
Yeah,
on the bus?
I know I didn't bring one on the bus, but I have one in my studio. I do play from time to time. Yeah, but like I never played video games after that. Very vintage. Yeah.
So what is considered
that's
vintage?
2000.
20
Yeah.
25 years or older?
Very vintage. Yeah.
I know people use Switches now.
Oh yeah, I don't use anything.
No.
So the rest of my crew, they have everything, but yeah, I'm also, another thing, I'm colorblind. So a lot of the modern games are like very hard for me to like see what the fuck is going on.
They're so in depth in there.
I can't see anything. So like when you go to these like really shitty 90s games, I can like really digest what's happening. Yeah.
That's crazy. What is like, I mean, just as my own ignorance, what is life like being colorblind in a sense? Like,
I don't know. I've never really...
right? Like, I guess that's true.
I got nothing to compare it to. I can see colors, but I see them very differently.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I've ever chatted with anyone that is colorblind before.
Yeah, like severely colorblind too. Yeah.
Do you pick out your outfits then?
Yeah. But like, for example, like these red and green shoes I have on right now. No, I'm just kidding. You know, I gravitate towards like a lot of primary colors, like blacks and reds and things like that, like that are like really easy to digest. Yeah.
Good colors too.
Yeah.
Is there, from like a live, show and production element, as you're preparing for these tours and going through production rehearsals, is there a kind of a component of it that you like to take kind of the reins on, that you get really excited about, and like the creative process of the live show itself?
Oh, everything. Like the live show to me is like a whole separate art form. Like you have like writing the songs, making the songs, like that's one art. That's like painting, right? And then when you go play live, that's a different art. That's sculpting. You know what I mean? And like I love to paint when I'm home, but then I'm on the road, I'm sculpting. It's like a very different art form. And yeah, I get excited for the first couple shows because it's when I'm not like on autopilot.
Sure.
Because I haven't been on tour in like 2 months. So I'm not on autopilot.
Yeah.
And like you're very much like the show is also so physical that to not have that on autopilot, but to be really bringing it as hard as you can. It's like it's a struggle, it's a fight, and I feel like that translates live to the audience, and it makes it very raw and intense.
And I feel like, as a power trio as well, I don't want to say it leaves you exposed, but there's a lot more exposure in a sense of you are, there's no backup rhythm guitar to kind of cover up something. So do you feel like in these first few shows, this first show, is there something you're nervous about? I mean, do you get those kind of ticks, or you're rocking and get on stage just ready to fire on all cylinders?
I don't get nervous for shows. I get more antsy. Like I want to just play the show already. You know what I mean? Especially
That's how you feel right now, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you spend all day waiting for the show, and I'm like, I just want to go. Like
show like ritual, like routine.
No, because I have a very specific stance on pre-show rituals and routines, where if you have a routine, if you have a ritual, and you say, I have to do this before every single show, God forbid you don't get to do it, I'm going to be on stage the whole time thinking we didn't do the ritual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so many things happen right before you go on stage. Like I might be doing an interview and somebody might be fixing something, and then we don't get to all meet before we get out there. And I'm like, oh no. So our ritual is that we have no ritual. So we can make up wherever we want. We can like all touch butts and then run out there. Like that's our ritual today. You know what I mean? And we run out. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. With the current crew that you have, is this a consistent, from the tour manager all the way to, backline techs or whoever you have with you? Do you have a consistent crew that you have out with you, or is it, new folks that you're bringing into the fold?
No, very consistent.
Yeah.
Like our crew is a very tight knit family. Like a lot of other bands and crews, they have people who like float in, float out. But for me, like we spend so much time on the road, away from families and away from friends, that like you want to have a group of people who you trust and love as much as your family. So you really spend a lot of time finding the right people who are the right fit. And like our crew, it's like, yeah, like I'm Des Rocs and somebody's a guitar tech, but we are in this bus, like we are all, there's no hierarchy. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something in rock culture that's like very pervasive, like these strict social hierarchies. And I'm like, I hate that shit. You know, I hate the like treating the tech like a tech. And it's not like, we are all very much like a little commune on this bus. And that to me is like so important.
I love that though, because I mean, it's a team. At the end of the day, you're all working towards the same goal of putting on a badass show. And, you know, everyone has their role in contributing to that. And I think that's an amazing stance that you have on how important everybody's role is to making that end goal happen each day as you're on the road.
Yeah, like there's been a lot of bands that we've also opened for where I've always had this philosophy. And then when I see it in real life, it's always so special to me. Like we've opened with some really big bands with like really toxic crews, and you see all the dysfunction behind the scenes, and you're like, how do you even make it to the stage based off everything that went wrong that day? And then there's been other bands we opened for, like we got to tour the Rolling Stones, and you just see like there's been roadies in there who have been there for like 40 years. And some of them were not even on the tour, but they'll just visit the cities and be backstage and hanging out because they've been in the family for so long. And it's like one giant circus on tour. Like it's one family of people and shows.
Caliber, you know, there's probably so many people that go into contributing to a show like, you know, the Rolling Stones.
And you could tell when you're on tour with people who are like checked out and they're not doing their best work. They don't feel supported. They don't feel like they're worth anything. And it's so important to always communicate that like everybody is working and living and breathing this one vision, and we only function when everybody's firing and everybody has the support they need.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
On that same note, I mean, you opened for the Rolling Stones. Was there an artist as you were kind of coming up that you were like, man, the pinnacle of my career would be opening for, you know, I mean, the Rolling Stones seems huge, but is there somebody to you personally that was a kind of
Yeah, I was obsessed with Muse as a kid. So we got to open for them in Europe, and that was crazy. Yeah. So like that to me was like a real pinch me moment.
How long ago was that when you guys were?
It was also right before COVID, right before I came to Jacksonville, actually.
Oh, well, yeah. So you were living that dream right then.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been back to Europe since? Do you have a favorite, like country or city? Because that's like...
We just got home from a Europe headline tour 2 months ago, and it was crazy. It was so nuts. Like, we didn't know what to expect. We put up all the cities. They all sold out in 24 hours, so we had to upgrade all the rooms to double the size. And like Paris, which I've loved Paris. I've been there many times as a traveler, but I've never gotten to play Paris before. Like that was really special because you have these preconceived notions of what these cities are like based off like a lot of stereotypes. So you think in Paris, like everybody's just gonna be like too cool for school, like chilling in the back, like smoking a cigarette, but they went hard. Like the whole show, just like up and down, arms around each other, singing, screaming, crying.
That's
like
incredible.
It was like a soccer game. It was nuts. Yeah, it was a really intense show.
Do you feel kind of a difference in the general music culture across Europe and like the rock and roll scene too? I know blues, all these kind of different scenes that I feel like are magnified, at least from an outsider's perspective. Like, do you feel that same way where Europe is just so committed to music?
Oh yeah, there's a much different appreciation for rock music, and also like rock music that's like very dramatic, which is what I make. I feel like in the US things are like a bit more homogenized. Like if you listen to rock radio here, you're gonna hear like a lot of like Breaking Benjamins and like bands like that who are great, but there's just like a lot of imitatees of those bands who are all competing for the same like 2 or 3 slots. So it's very congested and very filled with sameness. And over there in Europe, they don't care if you're like someone else. They just are into the singularity of artists more. And if you listen to the radio there, like you'll hear a Katy Perry song, and then you'll hear like a Metallica song. Like they don't divvy things up as much. They don't put everything into genres. They don't subdivide everything and categorize everything. It's a much more universal music culture.
Yeah, and that's I think so unique. Do you see that there's a difference too between like each country that you're traveling, or can you almost group that into like, oh, the EU is that way, or
very different.
Yeah.
Like the show we did in Amsterdam and the show in Berlin was so different than the show in Paris and so different than the show in London. Like there's a lot of similarities across the EU, but they're completely different universes each country.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's so not odd, but it's like you travel the U.S. You're in. Obviously, there's so many different subcultures and so many different regions of the states that I feel like kind of get lumped in together. So it's like you might go from here to Miami and it's night and day, but if you go here to Charleston or some of these other cities that are equal distance away, there's so much that's the same about them in so many ways.
Yeah, it blends in shades as you go up. Like in New York, it's like water, and then you go to like Philadelphia, it's like water, and then you come down here, it's like water. It's like things will morph across state lines, but it's not nearly as profound as if you go to like from Belgium to Italy. Like we did a show in like Bologna, Italy, and then a show in I don't even remember, but like it's very different. It's so different, like people in Italy, they don't buy merch, like
Really?
Yeah, it's like $200 worth of merch. It's like you just like there's so many cultural differences. Like in Italy, you have to be a card carrying member of a club to go see a rock show. So you have to have memberships to clubs, and you have to belong to a club to see a rock show. Like they have totally different cultures. It's not like there's just like shows all the time with there here.
I had no idea.
I mean, there's a lot of differences. Yeah, other places are weird. Yeah.
Maybe we should try that out here.
Yeah.
I mean, a rock club.
Yeah.
No, we want it open to everybody. But
yeah, and like also like when you put up the shows, like people in Germany, they'll buy all their tickets on the first day. You know what I mean? They're just like they're very prompt. They're very on top of their shit. And then like Italy, like you'll put up the show and like nobody buys any tickets until the day of the show. It's like such a lax Mediterranean culture.
Yeah.
It's in the middle. Yeah, I'd say it's in the middle.
That's wild too to think about, just culturally. Like Germans traditionally have always been very prompt and on time and and the Mediterranean culture. I feel like I come from a Greek family that is the epitome of just slow.
Yeah, I was like, is anyone gonna come to like? Can we do the Milan show? I think they have like 4 tickets sold, and they're like, no, don't worry. When you get closer to the show, people will realize it's happening, and then they'll buy the ticket. And then like we end up selling it out, and it's like it's just so funny to see like the differences. Yeah,
I feel like maybe Jacksonville embodies a Mediterranean culture in that sense.
The Milan, Florida. Yeah,
we sell tickets like the day. I mean, our walk-up numbers are always traditionally way more than they should be, in the sense of like, why don't you people just buy tickets earlier? But it's a mystery. It's always
it's lax here, man. Yeah.
It's a big city.
Casual place. Yeah,
casual. Yeah. Well, is there anything that you're working on right now from a music perspective, or anything you're excited to share, I guess, as you kick off this run?
Yeah, I mean, just the upcoming tour I'm really pumped about. I'm writing a ton, but that's a long ways off from bringing that to life. So yeah.
Well, appreciate you joining us here at Woofstock. Personally, very excited. Check out the show later.
Thanks.
And come hang out with all the dogs.
Hell yeah, I can't wait. Thanks for having us.
Des, good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trey.
Awesome.
Yeah, you had.
Well, sorry.
I'm sorry. I like when I start going, I'm like, I have to keep it in the back.
They're synced up. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
So are you filming the show too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Very fun.
I know. He's basically that. Daniel told me that.
If you want to come on stage, feel free to. It doesn't bother me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.